Alrighty, well the heat is on in the silver market. You may say, what do you mean, the price is going down? You'd be correct, the price is going down. Availability of physical silver is starting to get a little bit tighter. I've had to wait 3 weeks to get something that's usually easily in stock. And I should be picking that up today. But there's been a bit going on over in the United States last month. The US Mint was open for 7 days and had the absolute pants run off them. I think they closed and opened 3 days later. And in the first 2 hours of opening 3 days later, the sales just went absolutely ballistic. Millions of dollars worth. And, well, basically, $30 million worth of sales in 7 days plus 2 hours emptied the place out. No shit. In the first third of the month, they exceeded all supplies. They didn't have enough to basically keep going for the rest of the month. There has been, you know, as I said, even with me, having trouble getting things in a timely manner. You know, first time I've been down at the silver dealers the other day, and instead of being the only person in sight, there was 3 of us trying to get silver at once. Things are heating up in buying. But Link, how is that possible? That couldn't be the case because the price is dropping. I know. You got to realise something. Physical silver does not control the market price of silver. Doesn't make sense, does it? What controls the price is basically the silver certificates. Now these are the commodities exchange traded funds. Your SLVs, they've also got GLDs, you can probably work out what they are. And the little secret going on behind it all is apparently they're only backed 1,000 to 1 in some cases. In other words, they'll sell you 1,000 ounces and try and tell you that they're all fully backed by real silver and all this sort of shit. They'll sell you 1,000 ounces and they've only got 1 ounce in the vault to back it. And in some cases, they'll sell you 40 ounces for every ounce they've got in the vault. It turns out the average is around 200 ounces they'll sell for every 1 ounce they've got in the vault. Now, this has been coupled with another phenomenon known as things turning to shit in Greece and China. Now, what happens is these dudes driving these Ferraris and that, you know, all your rich stockbrokers driving all that sort of shit, you actually think that they're using their own money to invest in the stock exchange? No, not really. They're using a little bit of their own money, and the rest is borrowed money. You can call it leverage because that's what they call it, but basically they borrow more money than they can afford and invest that into shares and stuff like that. How could they do that? Why would they run such a risk? Oh, it's very easy. What you do is you create a trust and you trade through the trust, or a company and trade through the company. And then if it all fucks up, you just bankrupt the trust or bankrupt the company and walk away. And if it wins, well, you know, you take all the money and shove it in your back pocket, don't you? But anyway, these guys have been basically borrow more money than they can afford to lose and then invest it on the stock exchange in the hope that things are going to go up. And if they get a good enough spread and they make the right bets and whatnot, you know, they're fine when the market continues to go up, except there's a real concern that the market is going to go down. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, the Reserve Bank here warned our banks to get more cash in reserves for fear of another GFC. This is what it said on mainstream news. In actual fact, they, only about 2 days ago, one of the major 4 banks in this country halted trading on its shares as they look to secure capital or whatever, basically raise funds, because they were a bit worried that they were running too close to the line. And yes, the shares of ANZ were frozen trading for a few hours there one afternoon, only about 2 days ago. Basically, these guys who borrow all this money that they can't afford to lose, when the market starts to turn, they panic and believe that they better get out and get into cash. But it's usually not really their decision. See, it's usually only about 10% of what they've got, or less, is their own money. The majority of it is leveraged, borrowed money. And what will happen is the bank will get concerned that the market is going to turn backwards, or that they are running out of capital, as ANZ has been worried about, and they're fearful, they're worried. So they do what's called a margin call, or should I say the dude who's borrowed all the money to invest on the stock exchange gets a margin call from the bank. What a margin call is a little thing that says, we want our money back. And, they're concerned that the market's about to turn, that these dudes won't be able to pay them back the money that they've borrowed, because they'll be, the share price is going to start dropping rather quickly. And so they want their money back to make sure they get it back. So they give this dude a margin call, which basically is a little thing that says, we want all our money back. Now, do they want their money back in a month? Do they want it back, in a week? No, they want it back in 24 hours. That's right, you've got to turn up with all the cash that you've borrowed, all the money you've borrowed, to make investments that you can't afford to lose on. In 24 hours, it's got to be paid back in full. So what they do is they just go and sell their entire portfolio, bang, like that. Just wipe out the whole bloody lot. Or wipe out, the 90% that they've got that's paid for with borrowed money or whatever. Basically, if the bank's panicking, it might be time for you to start panicking also. And in most cases, they actually sell their entire portfolio. Now, what's happened is, as a result, they're selling off everything they've got. And usually, often enough, that also means selling off any gold certificates and any silver certificates. And as a result, that's what drives the spot price down. But there's other people who are rushing in to buy as much physical silver as they can, because, they're concerned. And they reckon that silver's the safest place to be. Maybe not so much cash. Maybe they're better to go into silver. Or they're people like me who can see what's coming. Or they're people like me who were buying silver but haven't bought much for a while and now decide to suddenly step everything up again, and start buying big, or spending a lot more of their paycheck on silver than they have been in the last 9 months or so. And as a result, the price is dropping, but there's a physical shortage, as has been seen, as I've experienced firsthand. And well, basically, it's hoped that there's going to be a default, because they've only got like a physical default of the commodity exchange. Because if they've only got 1,000 to 1 and sometimes 40 to 1, and averages about 200 ounces of certificates to 1 ounce of physical silver, and apparently the larger firms do actually request the physical silver, as opposed to your smaller stockbrokers, your mum and dad investors who basically ask for cash. They put cash in and they want cash out again. But if these large firms are all busting, to get the physical silver, and more people ask for the physical silver to be delivered as opposed to cash, there's a chance that there will be a physical default. They will literally run out of silver in their vaults. And even if there's a rumour that says they've run out of silver in their vaults, and it seems like a pretty, there seems to be truth in it, then people will say, well, hang on a minute, I bought all these silver certificates with the idea that these were backed by real silver, and now you've just told me that the vault is empty. And all of a sudden, that will be the end of the commodity exchange, at least for silver, if not for a lot of other things as well, because people will start questioning, hang on, if these silver certificates aren't backed on a 1-to-1 ratio, they're only backed on a 200-to-1 ratio, do they have enough of all this other stuff? Do they have enough gold? And then it goes from, do they have enough gold? Do they have enough oil, coal, gas, fuels, all these other commodities? And, yeah, if they have a physical default, it won't matter a shit what the spot price is anymore, because most of these certificates won't be trusted, because people will say, well, they've run out of silver in the vault, therefore these silver certificates are backed by absolutely nothing. And that is hope that is what will happen for the fraud to stop, because the price shouldn't be dropping as the demand's gone through the roof. That goes against common market physics. In all that, they reckon when the commodities exchange first came into existence, silver dropped to 1/8 of its value rather quickly, almost overnight. And it is thought that if there is a physical default in the commodities exchange, it will jump up 8-fold its value overnight also. The other thing is that the spot price, usually speaking, you add on another $2, $53, that's pretty much what you'll get an ounce of silver for to buy it. But when you sell it, most places will sell, like these bullion dealers will buy it back off you at the spot price. There's one I've heard of that will buy it $1 more than the spot price. And they sell it to you a few dollars more than what the spot price is. And usually they run on the spot price, but the spot price is actually really the silver certificate price. And there was a time there during the GFC where the spot price was right down low, and there was a real shortage of silver. When you buy 1 ounce coins and stuff like that, you're paying a reasonably high premium. The premiums, once you get anything bigger than 2 ounces, like 5 ounces, 10 ounces, it really lightens off. The dollar amount that you pay per ounce lightens off quite a bit. Anything 2 ounces, 1 ounces, and especially smaller than 1 ounce, smaller than 1 ounce is dramatically, ridiculously overpriced. 1 ounce and 2 ounce are a little bit expensive, and then when you get to 5 and 10 ounce, it comes off. It isn't that many dollars over the spot price per ounce you buy. When you get to 100 ounce, it's really peanuts. It's a lot cheaper. But for some reason, during the time of the GFC, when this silver price, the spot price dropped dramatically, you could only get 100-ounce bars at double the silver price. That's right, to buy them, it wasn't, you know, $1.80 or $2 an ounce more per ounce to buy an 100-ounce cast bar, as opposed to $3 more to get a 1-ounce coin. It was quite literally double the spot price, and then you were struggling to get them. There was back orders. You had to wait a month. You know, everything was just panics. You know, people were literally running out. Yet somehow the price was as low as shit, all because of the massive influx, the massive sell-off of these certificates drove the price down. So there has always been a split in the buy price of silver compared to the spot price. Usually, though, it's only another $2.50, $3 just to allow, you know, the bullion dealer to make a profit. But when it suddenly goes to double, well, you know, the truth comes out, but the truth only comes out in the physical price, not the spot price. And with a bit of luck, that will happen. So I've got to keep my nose on what I'm buying it for to get an idea of what I can resell it for, not just look at the spot price that I see on the news at night. So yeah, so that's a little bit about what's going on and the manipulation. But if the manipulation ends, I am a rich bastard, let's put it like that. I could probably, if the manipulation was to end and it was to go up 8-fold its price, I'd buy a friggin' new house tomorrow, and probably a new car as well, and maybe an extra property as well. But we will see. We will see what happens with all this. I don't know where it's all going to end with fiat currency, and if it is even going to end, but I'm not saying Shemitah is necessarily 100% true, but you know, it's a theory, and it's sort of happened once or twice before, and we will see. And with a bit of luck, I come out with more than I put in.